So, after the Guardian Ape, you will find that a lot of the idols are closed. So, you will have to travel to this idol here at the entrance to the abandoned dungeon, I believe, to make your way back up the castle where you fought Genichiro. And this is when you fight Al. And this is when you have to make a choice, obviously. One thing I'll note is I believe I've been calling the Divine Child where you get the mortal blade. I think I've been calling it the Divine Air, but that's actually Kuro. So it fucking matters really, but Divine Child. Anyway, so here we just grapple up, going back up to where we fought Genichiro to fight Al. And unfortunately, this is sort of the end of the Deathless run. And of all the bosses in this game, I will say that really there are only like 3, 4 that I would say within the Souls universe, like the whole catalog of bosses, are difficult, like up there, and Al is kind of one of them. I don't think that he's the hardest boss in this game. I don't think the other Al at Hirata is the hardest boss in this game. But I do think that they do pose a challenge. They do present an issue at times. And certainly here, I think I died twice to Al. So right here, I'm just dicking about. I used the shurikens for Lady Butterfly, and I used the spear for Guardian Ape. I'm not sure why I had the malcontent on there. So after you do the folding screen monkeys, you will get the puppeteer, and right here you can use it as a neat little thing. If you really suck or just don't like fighting Vile Hand, you can puppeteer this lone shadow enemy here, and they'll just fight each other. And you can just hang back and watch. Now, to be fucking fair, it would probably be much quicker if you just deathblowed him and did the fight normal, because he's not going to do enough damage to either the vitality or posture bar to make this worth your time. But I'm showing it here because, hell, I don't know, maybe you didn't know. It can be funny to watch them go at it. If you do jump in the middle of this, both of them can hurt you. So if you get hit by either one of them, you're going to take damage. So best to stay out of it. So the Vile Hand fight is just like all of the other lone shadow fights. The difference is that he does have a poison attack, but poison in this game doesn't build at any insane speed. I don't think it's very threatening, to be honest. So it's never on my radar. I never really concern myself with it. You will see that come up again when I actually do beat Al, how unconcerned I am with poison in this game. So the second part of this fight goes a little sideways, as things sometimes will. It's very rare to have a perfect run wall to wall, even though I think that I'm pretty confident with this game up through Ape and my ability to run it without really any issues. Once I get to Al, and I have to then deal with the 2 Al fights and Sword Saint and Demon of Hatred, I don't know, I'm just not... My confidence isn't really up there like it is with the other bosses, but it's okay. I mean, it's all subjective, the way that we experience these fights and these bosses. Some people think Guardian Ape is very, very difficult. I think Guardian Ape is very, very simple. Some people think Sword Saint isn't that big of an issue. I tend to agree now for the most part, but within this game, he still poses a bit of a problem, I'll say. So hopefully this is about over. God, I don't like that this has taken so long. And one of the ways that I like to play is I don't like to use a lot of gourd seeds if I don't have to, or a lot of gourd uses if I don't have to. You know, I prefer things when they are very clean, but it doesn't go that way all the time, and I am not going to say that I have perfected this game absolutely. There are things about this game that I know very well, but there are many things about this game that I do not yet. So, always helps to be a little bit humble when playing Sekiro or any of these games. So now we are going to work our way up to Al, okay? And I'm going to show you, as best I can, what not to do. And some of the mistakes that are, I guess, easy to make or that you can make when doing Al. There is a way to cheap your way out of this, and I can show you a little bit of that in the final duel that I have with Al. But up until then, we'll get a look at how to fuck this up. So here you want to break the Iron Code and protect Kuro. If you don't do that, if you stick with Al, then you'll get pushed into the end game and fight Emma and fire Ishin. That gives you the Shura ending, which that's an awesome fight. Emma is beautiful. I love that fight, and fire Ishin is cool. So first mistake, okay, on any new game cycle that you're on, whether it's New Game Plus, or New Game 12, whatever, you do not want to underestimate the posture damage that Al can do. More than any other boss maybe in this game, he will fuck your posture meter. And that's even with, like, even if you're like trying to be really precise and, you know, doing a good job with your deflects. To me, it just always seems like he just hits so fucking hard for vitality and posture. Now, being aggressive against him is a good idea, and knowing how to get certain attacks out of him. So if you get a lot of distance, sometimes he will do the 2 shuriken throws and the flip, which is super easy to punish. It is very, very easy to punish. A lot of his attacks are, especially the firecrackers. This is easy to punish if you know how to read it. Right here is what I really don't recommend that a lot of players do. I understand that it's a strategy out there to run the arena and use that to bait out attacks, but what can sometimes happen is the distance that he will close with his sword swipes and the way that he moves forward will fuck you really bad. It'll hit you, and even though he gives you wide windows to heal and to buff should you want to, he will also close the distance really fast. So rather than running the arena, I find it's a good idea to, if you don't want to be full balls aggressive, to understand a mix of the two, to know how to sort of run and bait out an attack, but also be aggressive, if that makes sense. You don't, if you're struggling with being full balls aggressive, you can use the strategy of running, but I wouldn't rely on it the entire fight, because it's not a guarantee and it can go sideways really quick. So I think I get fucked up really quick in this second fight as well. I'm fairly certain. So I'm a bit annoyed that I died, but that's okay. It happens. It's no big deal. It's just a game, you know. I was hoping to maybe continue the Deathless, but who cares? One thing to note is, I don't know why I did this right here. If you use Divine Confetti before talking to him, the buff will deactivate before the fight starts. You want to do Divine Confetti after this. The Akos that you use will stay on you, but not the Divine Confetti. So this move right here, where he rushes in and swipes and then drops this little bomb that keeps you from healing, you can move behind him for a swipe. And if you have been debuffed, if he does this and he does that swipe again, obviously he's not going to drop that little ball again. He's going to keep attacking. So you have to be ready for that. So if you're already debuffed, that attack changes. Now, one good thing I think about being somewhat aggressive and in his face is if you are aggressive, you can bait this out, firecrackers, and it's a good time to sweep in behind him and start smacking his back. And you'll see that, again, just running the length of the arena, or running around the arena trying to get certain attacks, or trying to run away from him, I don't think that it is a reliable and viable strategy. As much as trying to engage in the dance that Al wants you to engage in. Now, you can use firecrackers, you can use prosthetics. Firecrackers are obviously effective against him if you want. I do not, because I have a use, we'll say, for the spirit emblems that I use in the second phase, and I make no fucking apologies for this at all. I know there are some people that make the argument that using the Mortal Blade is a little bit cheap, and maybe it is. I don't know. After hundreds of hours, I have never used any of the other sword art attacks, like the Ichimonji or there's the Ashina Cross, Nightjar, I think. All these, I've never used any of them, other than just seeing what they look like. I've never found them effective to use in actual fights. And again, see, running. I was trying to wait out the healing debuff to heal by running, and it's just so much more effective to just engage with him and let it be what it's going to be. I think you stand more of a chance of doing well by being aggressive than by being overly passive. Just my opinion. Anyway, yeah, so I have never used any of the other sort, and again, running killed me. Other than Mortal Blade and the Empowered Mortal Blade. The Empowered Mortal Blade you get later at the end of a skill tree, I believe. It's not something that you get right when you get the Mortal Blade. You do get the Mortal Draw, but you do not get the Empowered Mortal Draw, I don't believe. So here is when the fight is over, and I only heal, I think, once, twice, I can't remember. It goes okay. It's not super clean, but I don't die. Well, I think I might revive once. I can't remember. Either way, yeah, this fight is not one that I have mastered. I still don't think that it is necessarily hard within the catalog of Souls bosses. I just don't think I'm very good at it, to be fair. I mean, I think any boss can be, well, I don't want to say any boss can be hard or anything like that. I mean, I don't want to say that Al is easy or anything like, oh, anybody could pick him up and just beat the shit out of him. I don't mean that. I just don't think that I'm as practiced. So right here, and if you want to use this method, you can. You can sort of get him by the door. This isn't actually the cheap method. The way you actually do it is you trap him by the door and fight unlocked and angle yourself in a certain way against him. If you get him in that situation locked, then it doesn't register. You have to fight unlocked and sort of at an angle, and he will not block or deflect any of your attacks. Basically, that's how that goes. I didn't actually do it the way you're supposed to do it, but it's a strategy that you can use should you need to. So we're getting good attacks. and the fight is going okay. This seems to be like the easiest one to bait out and punish should you want to go that method of trying not to master all of his attacks, but just like one or two. And the second owl fight that you do at Hirata, he will have a couple of similar attacks. He will have the flip, he will have the firecrackers. He will also have some new tricks. So it's not the exact same fight, but reminiscent, we'll say. So when he does the big cloud of smoke, there are a few attacks that he could do. He could do something where he just sort of stays in the smoke cloud, or he could rush you, and you will lose your lock on for a second. So I always just kind of get some distance. You can kind of see what he's about to do to know whether or not you need to deflect or not. So in the second phase, I will use the Mortal Draw when he does that attack. More often than not, when he does that attack, I'm not trying to bait it out. He just happens to be doing it a lot. Yeah, so you can bait it out if you want and do Mortal Draw, and the Mortal Draw fucks him up. It fucks up everybody. I mean, the Mortal Draw is insane. But it's going pretty quick, and he does gain the poison attack where he throws the poison, and this right here refills his posture. If his health is low, I don't think it matters because you can get his posture up fairly quickly. It only matters if you're not super confident in the fight, and you just have to keep fighting him. So like the longer the fight goes on, right? So the more chances you have to punish him, the more chances he has to punish you. And yes, I do have the poison status effect on me, but it's just not, it doesn't do that much, I don't think. Like, your health doesn't go down super amazingly fast or anything, so I honestly just don't fucking worry about it too much. And you'll see that because I want to say I get it again, and I don't even fuck with healing. So the fight's pretty much over. You can do this fight going after his HP, or you can do this fight going after his posture bar. It's up to you how you want to do it. I would recommend, and this is just me, even though right here it looks like my goal was to go after his HP, it's not the case. That's just how the fight played out, but that wasn't my intention. I like to try and go for his posture bar as best I can, but his posture bar will not get punished without low vitality. So that's the owl fight. And next, some dialogues.